Okay, there you go. So, good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Mulan. Hope you are well. Okay, we resume Liquid Sky development today. Yesterday, I got the initiatives merged in. That best practice question, does anything jump out you as missing? I was looking through it. I was having a think. I can't see anything that's particularly. I mean, I think what design principles covers. Solid, maybe. Keep an eye on solid. Well, command query separation, precursor to CQRS. It's more in that concept of keeping your commands and your queries separate. But gotcha. But that's pretty comprehensive. I assume you're making a bunch of articles. Okay, so let's go to get this done. So let's put this GUID. If I do that, it's going to break everything. It's a major refactor. Try to keep it factual and answers what is clean code. That's the idea, trying to keep it factual and answers what is clean code. I could do a bunch of kinds of tests also. Yeah? It seems like you're having fun with these articles. You kind of found your timing. Initiative identifier. Why don't you like that? Oh, because it's it's a record. Okay. So we have that. Does everything build or does everything fail now? Everything should still build. It's an interesting challenge. It's adding. So, as the system's now growing and changing, adding new fields and figuring out is the better ways of doing some of this stuff is coming to mind because I'm just dumping another field and another thing, and that's where this starts to feel a little bit of a not necessarily a hack. It's just it feels a little bit more like I'm just hacking. I'm not. I just turned around and used the word hack, but not as well thought out. So keeping an eye on whether it because right now I'm assigning a planning item to an initiative. That's the work for today, right? So the work for today is I need to add an initiative onto a planning item, and I'll share that in a second. Gani, hello, how you doing? BTDD. How are you today, sir? So we're going to add an initiative identifier on that. We're going to make sure that initiative identifier is passed through. What does this do? This does, yeah, it doesn't matter what I do. Private read only. GUID. Initiative identifier. Private read only. GUID. tenant identifier, private read only, title, description, review date. There you go. Tenant identifier, title. Let's improve our tests. Right, I'm gonna make sure that we're created by, assigned is null. We're just adding, we're not doing anything else. Regular workhouse like every day. Yeah. So can I do... That needs to still be null. Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem. Let's make sure that that can be null. That will clean that up, so we don't need to do that one now. Should still build. Everything should still build because I'm just passing null in there. It doesn't hurt anything. It's just redundant. Yep. Everything should still pass. Except the one in the test I'm failing deliberately. Test that work fails now, and I'm the idiot that has to figure out why. Hoping it'll be better than whatever this is right now. Oh no, it won't. I guarantee. Dan, thank you very much. Thank you for the raid. Everyone, welcome. Thank you for the follow. Congratulations on Block Shop release. I've been playing and enjoying the music. You don't know Dan? He's a Godot dev who's building his first game along with Sinisberry, and it's looking amazing. Well worth checking out. Gregorio. Hello, welcome in. Raid and run now. I have to start adulting. Thank you for the shout out and have a great stream. Dan, thank you very much. Take care. Have a great day. Have a fantastic day. Yeah, full bots. Yeah, I've got my Steam Deck in front of me, and I get a little bit stuck, and the Steam Deck comes out, and I start playing. Mr. Box, how are you doing? Hope you are well today. Yeah, I have my Steam Deck sat right there. See. So it works well. I think it's interesting here, I'm afraid. Just regular old dev failing it right in unit test right the second it seems. Okay, so we're going to pass in the initiative identifier. We need to make sure that test is actually... So we're validating that we're passing the initiative, that we get the event. So we need to do this now. Command.initiative identifier to make sure we're passing those through. So now we run. There you go. Our test pass. Okay. So that validates that we are passing it through. We have changed the configuration to allow for it. Right. So, and we've added the column to the table. So that, with one other change, should be almost that. So on the endpoint, we now have the initiative needing to go in here. So initiative identifier is request dot. No, helps if you change the right class. Things work much better if you start changing the right things. request initiative identifier. Okay, so we can pass all these in. They're all defaulted anyway, so it's fine. We'll be good. So let's just still build. So if you're not seen this before, Liquid Sky is a project management and planning platform that I'm building. So this is a current version that's running on a little box I use. So we're actually using the product to plan itself. Mojo, good morning. Right now, what I'm focused on is I can't show it right this second, but I will do shortly. We're introducing the concept of initiatives. So this screen here, a planning item is a thing that you want to kind of build. Closest thing in Jira will be a story, right? Not really a story, it's many stories potentially in one. But the idea is that as a combined unit of requirements, it works to represent a piece of work that you can deliver, right? So it could be a one-to-one with a story, it could be a one-to-one with an epic, it could be whatever you want it to be. But the idea is that you are saying this thing is a group of work, right? So editing comments on the planning item, yeah, that's all I need. Now, if there's multiple requirements from this, like, oh, it's on this screen, it's on this screen, it's on this screen, these requirements are then what you expect to see. So that the business understands, all right, assigning planning items to initiatives, this is what I'm working on right now, right? So actually I can move that to in progress, right? I should be able to set the initiative when I create the planning item. I should be able to set the initiative on an existing planning item when I edit it, and I should be able to filter by initiative on this screen. The new screen has better space. So you can see you could potentially have these as separate stories, but there's no value in delivering them as separate stories. So this planning item is one thing, and it's using the terms of the business, not the technology. So from here we go to tasks, and we're able to see the tasks, and now the task for that one that I'm working on right now, update API endpoint for planning item and update the application. These can be technical because these are for the developers to work on, right? So they are more focused on the technology rather than the actual business behavior. So the requirements and the tasks link together to bring these two worlds together in a way that the developers can understand and the product can understand, and then the product can see it from a progress perspective. Oh, they've got 90% of the tasks done on this particular requirement. Awesome, So it's bridging the gap a little bit. So what I've just done is I've included that on the API endpoint. I've added the initiative onto the application side. I've updated the SQL. I just need to update the integration event for planning item. We have talked about, and I'm not sure if we will, subtasking these as well, so that these would have a list of actual tasks of these things that I've got here. The description could be more about describing for the developers, here's what we want to do, here's why we're doing it. Actually, this is missing something. Oh, it's not. It's missing it from this screen. Ultimately, what this will do is it'll show the requirement that it's hooked up to give you a reason why you're doing this thing as well. I'm confusing because the new version looks a little cleaner. Thank you for the follow, Bad Blinken. Welcome in. Quite quiet. Microphone test says otherwise. Is everything good? Everyone else? Ah, but it's back to normal. It's working fine now. I see a Windows reinstall on my no. I'm unmuting the stream and it sounds fine to me. In the stream preview. Okay. It's fine and then you dropped. Is this a Twitch problem or a me problem? Microphone looks fine. I'll turn it up a little bit just to see. Okay, that should be a little louder, but that's weird. If I can hear myself through the stream preview, okay. Well, I'll okay. Oh, that's weird. I've got myself at 50% volume on my machine. But I'm up 100% on the Windows. Okay, well, I have no idea. I'm going to continue on. Phytoplankton, in response to your question, the backend is .NET. Um, it is C Sharp, .NET 9. We have a lot of different pieces, which I will share because it's always useful to share this diagram with new people coming into the stream. So this is the platform as it stands right this second, right? So it's a distributed system, uses Kafka, GraphQL, service bus with mass transit and RabbitMQ. We got some, what else have we got in here technology-wise? We've got some Angular. We've got some Akka.NET over here. And then there's a backend being constructed using Next.js in a similar manner to support this. That's not my department. Yeah. No, they're talking to me. Okay, so let's add the extra. So the challenge with this is I've added a new column. Thank you. Yeah, snowstorms will do that. I did not. Sorry. Just remembering to take something afterwards. So when hi maybe, how you doing? So when we send a planning item, we attach the initiative here. The Kafka event is going to be, it is a family-friendly stream, yes. The initiative is going to be attached here. So we need to add in the we need to change the integration event, right? Now the challenge with doing this is Foundation is a separate library, right? One that I'm getting away with it because it's on my machine. So Foundation is a separate library that is built to share the information right now. I could use something like Kafka schema to allow us to kind of create the events and stuff, but I've yet to get to that learning piece, and that only shares some of the things. So there's behaviors and there's library pieces that we use that are shareable between the back end and the front end. So if you're new to the stream, if you want to ask any questions about the technology, if you want to chat about the technology, learn more, you're more than welcome. Okay, well then, thank you. You're more than welcome to ask questions. I do not mind diverting from coding to talk about the project. It is perfectly legitimate to do that. So, yeah, I'm happy to talk about the software. What if you want to learn less? Well, is that going to give me a problem? Let's see, build solution. Why would you be missing? That's my stream. Okay, no errors found. It's just having a bit of a moment. It'll catch up eventually. Crash course in Angular this morning. I needed a break from it. Yeah. Work to companies that prefer you don't know things. Joy. Okay, so basically, what I need to do here is I need to create a branch of this um, feature planning item initiatives. Um, the the reason I'm creating a branch and not committing to development or anything is because Mojo is also building off of this library. So any changes I make to this library would affect him as well in his development potentially. And so it's just a good practice to keep going into is making sure that we are committing to branches, they are being reviewed. Um, yeah, I'm not following along with the puns. Yeah. So we go to the messaging, go to the events. We have an integration event for planning item. And also, if you are interested, there is a Discord. You're more than welcome to join the Discord if you have further questions and you wanna ask more or discuss more. And again, if you're open to if you have opinions on what I'm doing, if you think I'm wrong about what I'm doing, I'm happy to listen to uh, reasons why. Um, I mean, I reserve the right to ignore, but uh, yeah. So this is going to be the initiative identifier added to the in initiative identifier. You'd think I'd be better at spelling this by now. I have typed it dozens of times already. Right. So this is going to go on the planning item event. And this is produced when we do a change to the planning item, right? So we have publish integration, and now when we receive a planning item created notification, we publish a planning item, right? So the backend piece is actually disconnected a little bit. When I save something, the save of that thing to the database triggers the events to happen that I've added into the queue, so that the code, from a code perspective, just looks like this, right? So I create a planning item. If I've got any projects associated, I associate the projects, and then I add it, and that's it. No worries, Mojo. And that's a pattern that I've really liked doing because it just means this code is clean. It's not concerned with all these side effects of doing this. It's just do a thing, move on. When that's saved to the database, when actually that's committed to the database, the events that have been queued upon this trigger and are processed in the background. So this is returned to the client. The client's got its identifier. It's like, yep, we're good. I got the ID. Um, so in the background now, this processes, it's dequeued, and then triggers the event, and this event is fired. So all I need to do in here now, because this is a commonly shared publisher, I need to change once in here, and now when the planning item is updated, or anything that fires a planning item is going to trigger this event. And so you see, when we update a requirement, we publish the planning item. When we uh, update the planning item or create the planning item, we publish this event. So in all cases, this identifier is going to get attached now. So this is going to be initiative identifier equals planning item dot initiative identifier. And again, that can be nullable. So we need to make sure we go back. Yep, that I did set that as nullable. Phew. I've done that a few times, although it would have complained at me there. So now that will get included in the planning item event, right? So that pretty much concludes the server side of adding. I'm not going to move anything. Okay, so introduce initiative identifier. planning item. Commit that one. I mean, it's a small commit, but it's a separate commit. Create, add. Oh no, we need to make one other change. So right now everything's built off scripts. I've created a migration here to add this. So if I push this into the existing system, right, to try and not lose data, I'm going to have to run update scripts, right? So I need to do the additions on there. If I'm building the system from scratch, right, then it's fine. Not initiatives, planning items. This one needs to change. Do this. Initiative identifier, right? So we can do that. Include initiative identifier, planning item. So now we have these and the tests. Adding the column in there meant that I had to change a bunch of other tests as well, which is, an unfortunate side effect. So what I need to do is change this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. So add is a deliberate thing, right? Hold on. We need to do this. We need to do it a different way. The planning item gets initiative. Include initiative via on planning item. Include and create message. So that triggered the next thing, right? So if I'm trying to be good about the unit testing and the commits, that then triggered all these to need to change because I'm adding that column, that property needs to be set when I'm building an existing planning item on Object Builder. So it needs to be explicitly set. And the fun thing is it's explicitly set to null everywhere because it doesn't really affect anything. Update unit tests for initiative fire to include Object Builder. Object Builder is a constructor, so you can take a class and build a version of it, even though it's got a private constructor. And it will set all the properties on that object, even if they're private. Which, thanks to reflection, is not impossible. Dang it, that one. Okay, so then these are all around adding attach initiative identifier to create planning item. I need to do a sweep of where I've used add versus create and figure out one and then just rename a load of stuff in one go. So let's create and push that. Push that as well. Okay, so that is that piece done. So now we should be able to run this up and go over to this side of things and get on with the UI. This shouldn't be terrible. So let's go back over to here. So I've done these pieces, right? So let's move that to done. So we're going to do this part. Now this is going to be fun because, well, fun in terms of I'm going to have to be a bit disciplined here. Editing the planning item is not the same as adding, but the dialogue is the same dialogue. So the behavior will be when I put the dialogue on the add on there, it's fine. If I go to edit, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to set it. It's not. I shouldn't touch any of that piece right this second. Now, I am going to come back around and do it. I'm just going to do it explicitly so that I'm getting into that pattern. This is one of those areas where actually creating multiple tasks doesn't really work because the way the screen is built, there's no benefit in doing them both independently. You can't work on them independently because one developer's affected by the other, right? The edit is affected by the add. It's almost as much effort, you know, well, it's a fraction of the effort to do the edit once the ad's in place. Most of the effort is again on the server side. I'm just trying to make sure I do these in the right order. Just as a practice thing, right? So I need to include the add planning item dialog and update the store, update the service, etc. There's other things here. It was getting late last night when I created these, but they should be relatively simple. Famous last words. Okay. So I did have a problem yesterday with the microphone in terms of everything crashed on me. I wonder if that's caused an issue. Forgive me now, worrying that the microphone's not the right volume, but we'll worry about that later. Okay, so in the features we have planning. Actually, let's start this up. It'll be easy to see. That's not right. That's not right. Something's missing. Something is missing. What is missing? Gateway's running. Pass is not running. Edit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay. Task was the only one that was out there. 16. Okay. Okay. Really? I didn't think I'd initiatives dashboard. Did I not remove that? Oh, I did not. Okay. Oh yeah, I got a merge issue last night, so I just left it in there. I can fix it in the next one. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Uh, remove unused pipe in dashboard initiatives. So Angular is I don't know whether it's a setting or whatnot. It's a good setting, but it's annoying slightly. If you use something, if you include an import to something, it adds it into your component. If you then remove the code for that, it errors because it wants the code removed from the back end as well. It won't let you just leave it there, which is good in some respects because it's very easy to leave a lot of stuff lying around. But yeah, it's challenging. Okay, so let's go and look at the actual app. So this is the current Liquid Sky. You can see it's if you've not been in here before, you can see that this is the older version, this is the current version. They look slightly differently. Here you expand the planning items. Here you click on the planning items and they appear down on the right hand side. Still not sure what the right way to do this is because there's a lot of information on the screen. This might be a little bit too cluttered now, but we'll find out. Also, what is description here becomes goal here. I think this is a bit more descriptive than just a single sentence, but it is aimed at being the goal of this thing. Requirements, we can add tasks in here, attachments, comments, and planning and meetings, etc. is a future concept. But we're working here, right? So what we're going to do is associate an initiative with this. I think below this, I'm not big on going alphabetical, more priority of fields, right? Yeah. Let's go in here. So first we need to create a dialog, a drop down, and the drop down is going to be reused. I know it's going to be reused immediately, so we're not even going to entertain the idea of not creating a control for this. Right? This is where I always get messed up. So we already have the initiatives store. This isn't just a select though. This is an autocomplete. Autocompletes. This is a bit more search driven. We're going to create an Angular schematic. We're going to create a component. And this is going to be initiatives. Select. Auto. Just got initiatives auto complete. I'm going to skip the tests. As much as I would love to write client-side unit tests, I do not have enough brain power left to do that. So I'm not going to panic about client-side unit tests. I'm going to have to refer to other pieces here because there's no way I remember how to do this properly. So what we're going to do in this is we're going to include something like this, right? So what this is going to do is this is going to be the initiatives store, right? Not the user store. And we're going to have the initiatives autocomplete component in there. I'm not going to mess around with the app or whatever, the selector. I think that I need to look at some best practices around those later on. What this does, this is value accessor. What this does is starts to make this component available for form controls. So you can actually put form control, you can put this in as a form control and attach it. So we're going to do control value accessor. Yeah. Don't need to do this anymore. I've learned how to do the webhooks, the webhooks, the store hooks, so that this automatically gets done when we reference a version of the store. So like this user store, did I put the hook on here? I did. So this is already getting called. So technically that doesn't need to get done anymore, which means that that can get removed and the store will be loaded automatically anyway. So I'm just going to make that change. Load all on store is no longer required for users in select. It's fine. I need to stop being a little arrogant about my commits like that. That's that drop down. But I need to make sure that I don't just, oh, that change can't possibly cause any harm, commit, push. It's a little bit of, I'm going to say arrogance. It's just like, yeah, I know what it's doing. I'm fine. And it's not funny. Because that sort of attitude will bite me one day. And I'm like, whoa, I just committed the code, right? I didn't test the code. It's a poor excuse. We're going to go to PrimeNG. We're going to look at their autocomplete. The reason autocomplete is initiatives could be quite large. We're eventually going to have to put paging and stuff in here. This is going to be a let's get it working, understanding that the future is going to need a more search-based design, because this is not going to be friendly. So we're going to create a P autocomplete. Where's this going to go? Imports. Is this going to be autocomplete? Is that the import? Autocomplete. Is that enough? And suggestions is going to be options. Let me just actually, so I can do this. There's no way I remember how to do this. There's no way I'm just going to be able to recall this, so I'm just going to make sure that I have it available to me to copy through. Right, so what I'm trying to do is I need store equals inject initiatives store. Let's include that. And let's add the things I know I need first. Actually, well, this is going to be an array of values as well, so that's going to be a slight difference. Let's add implements. This will force something, right? So now we need to implement that interface, right? So that's going to add a bunch of things. Let's move that back up there. I kind of tend to follow the same thing as I do on other pieces. Like other languages. So what these are the events that hook in with form controls, right? So is disabled state? Well, private is disabled, right? Boolean, right? This dot is disabled equals is disabled. I actually probably don't want that to be private. The default in TypeScript seems to be that you can use public, and I mix and match. But public is default, whereas with C#, private is default. So I kind of prefer the explicit specifier. Like this is not. This is public as well. But you'll see me. I don't I don't like the many keywords, so I don't do that. But not exactly reasonable. So this right value, I think I actually have another multi-select, right? So the project multi-select is probably actually closer to this than than this one because the project multi-select takes an array of values, right? So in here, when I don't see public or private, I freak out. Yeah, the TypeScript side is right. So this is going to be an array of initiative, right? I've started to move models and things into a common like area, so I'm gonna continue to do that, and then I'm just gonna do like I know what I'm copying and pasting here. I just don't want to be uh too inconsistent with what I've done before. Uh, Interestingly, on the multi-complete here, I have as is disabled through environment in C sharp. When I see TypeScript, I freak out. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of no accesses in C sharp. It's be explicit, right? So this works because the exact same code is valid for initiative as it is for project or whatever I used, right? So this is going to be similar to the projects drop down. Um, so we need some functions. Well, that's interesting. Oh no, I know I did it. Okay. So protected on change, this dot on change equals fn. Um, Similar on touched. Um, Seems in this one I decided to make these appear close to those ones. Um, this one's an interesting one. So with PrimeNG 19 came this strange behavior where now like this append to is kind of like where the control anchors. So if you have a dialogue, if you don't anchor it to the page, the control kind of is anchored inside of the dialogue, and then it doesn't overlap or expand properly, and it's frustrating. Okay, so that's all the code I've got for the autocomplete for the project multi-select. Let's see what we need in terms of HTML here. So initiatives autocomplete. So we have suggestions, which is going to be store.entities. And let's just bring up the prime ng dots again. Drop down, that's fine. It can be a drop down. Drop down is there. Something's wrong there. Why is that control not coming in? That's right. It's just not. Ah. Oh, look at that. They suggest autocomplete. It's actually auto capital C complete. Is that really? Hold on. Is that? Well, oh no, that's not good. Selectors. Ugh. Ugh. You can have one of three selectors and one of them's actually invalid. The one they show in the documentation isn't right. Or am I using the wrong one? Is that ain't good. That's quite the opposite of good. Auto. Oh, that's The autocomplete module is not what I want, right? That will be automatically loaded. The standalone component stuff means that all I need is the actual control there. For consistency with the other pieces, I'm going to do autocomplete. Then it'll behave the same, but that still worries me. Okay, I'm going to move this off now. Again, I don't like flicking back and forth, especially when I'm looking at documentation. There's no benefit in it. It just creates yet more problems. Okay, so field. Let's have a look at which one did I do autocomplete on? Yes, this was actually autocomplete. So a combination of the two. Let's do that. Show clear is true. We want to be able to remove it as easily as we want to. Yeah, so filtered users. Okay, name equals. Actually, we don't want to put a name on this, do we? ID equals ID. Initiative select. So that's because we want to provide an ID property. That's a public ID equals input dot required. Input string. That will make that work. So we can set an ID or it'll default to initiative select. So ng model equals selected. Import forms module. Option label equals name. Disabled equals is disabled. Input style equals with 100%. And I use single quote as well. Style equals with. When I see that, that makes me think that I've been trying to style it and I've just been putting options everywhere. Option label. So then we have three methods that need to be done. On user select. Update import. Filter users. Autocomplete event. Update import. And unclear. Okay. So user select. Okay, so filter users becomes filter initiatives. And what this does, you remember that part where I said, oh, it's going to be easy. It shouldn't be that difficult. On initiative select. Well, let's do the easy parts. This dot selected dot set event dot value. This dot on change. This dot selected. Interesting. Oh, because it sets the current array. That's why. On clear. This dot selected. No. What am I doing? What am I doing? Not a multi-select. I'm being dense. It is a single select with an autocomplete. I'm merging the concepts because I've got carried away. We want to do that. And this is yes, this is that. Just do that. Okay. Value. Take that. Take that. That goes. Filter. F dot ID equals value dot ID dot find last. Right. I'll get the vetted two arguments. Ah, okay, so I can just do find last. F goes to F dot ID equals. There you go. Everything else works fine. That's okay. G model selected on clear. Yeah, okay. This dot selected dot set defined. This dot on change to trigger it. Okay. It should be building. Yeah, that's fine. So what we're going to do now is, this is nowhere near done, by the way. And if you are new to the stream, again, you are more than welcome to ask questions, have opinions on what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. Please feel free, especially with Angular. I have no issue taking guidance on Angular. Components, add edit planning item dialog, right? So what we're going to do is after review date here, div class field label. You can't put an ID on these, so like you can, but I think it doesn't do what I want it to do. But we'll find out. For equals initiative signed. I haven't used the word assigned yet on this one, so that's an interesting one. Class equals field label. Food, life is good. What food? Being that you're in the UK, this is likely going to make me feel envious, but. So Jones, good afternoon. Like Rambling Geeky is Bacon Boys, Pasture Meatballs. Okay. Okay, that's not a that's not an envy level food. It's good, but app initiative autocomplete ID equals forgot KFC. Planning initiative form control equals okay, so that append to. Oh, I made append to quiet, did I? Append to equals append to. I kind of cascade them down. What did I do on this one? PD. It's not the same. This one is though. Append to is an input signal. Just want to do the same thing. I didn't make it. I didn't make it really quite. Okay, there we go. Because that was optional as well. Yeah, that's not optional. So it was like, oh no, I can't do it. Okay, so form control wise, let's go over here and add another form control. Public initiative form control initiative null equals new form control. Add imports. And then we need to add that onto here. Update current item. We're not doing update. We got to be careful there, right? We're not going to save yet. We're going to do initiative. This dot current item dot initiative. Null. Planning item does not have an initiative attached to it. That'll make it work. It won't make it right. So we then go to here and set this to initiative. Make sure they line up. Okay, so we should have again, cannot find initiative on planning item.ts. Right, I always do this. I do see how this is down here in the models. And it shouldn't be. I think these should all be up at the top in the shared models folder now. Okay. So new planning item, model signal undefined. Blech. Okay. That's going to be breaking all over the place. Yeah. Okay. We got the control in there. That's the main thing, right? So that part where I said, "Oh, it's going to be easy," well, that was forgetting the fact that I need to filter. Now, like I said earlier on, I did say we're not going to get to the point of overthinking this and worrying about the data set being large because the number of initiatives could be larger. right? Now, I would hope that your number of active initiatives is actually small, and this should filter out active initiatives. But right now, we still need to filter them, and the way you filter them is by using them in the store. So it's not making a server call for this, right? Yeah, famous last words. So what I was saying will be easy is going to take me pretty much the rest of the stream to get working, but hopefully by the end of the stream we can have the drop down in. And there we go again. I've just cursed myself with some more arrogance. So what we're gonna do, I'll move this over here. And I'm gonna go to okay. Signal stores. The signal stores allow me to well, let's make a commit first. Introduce initiative to planning item and client. Create initiative auto complete control. Okay. Same lie every dev tells themselves. How hard can it be? Well, it's why you shouldn't give times. If people ask you how long will it take, you say, I'll get on with it. I'll let you know how much progress I'm making. You know, I don't expect it to take me more than a week, right? Even if it's going to take you an hour, just give yourself some room. I don't expect it to take me more than a couple of days, but I'll let you know once I make progress, right? We are very bad at estimating. We are very bad at forgetting about, like, I completely forgot about this piece, right? Now, had I gone and done some preparation, had I gone through these and identified the pieces I would need to do, I probably would have been a little closer. Well, again, even pointing stories, you're still meant to go off and do things. And the problem is with pointing is if the code isn't consistent and the code is not easy to understand all the time, then pointing's useless. It actually is. You might as well just throw a time estimate there. It's just as accurate, right? Pointing is best when the story's like, I forgot about the client side of things here, right? But the consistency on the server side means I'm pretty accurate. If I go and spend 5 minutes to go and look through the pieces, the patterns are laid down quite effectively so that I can say, okay, I need to touch this part, this part, this part, this part. We're good. So the pointing is going to become more accurate on the server side because I can say, okay, well, we're adding a new column. It involves making the migration, adding the integration event, adding it to the data table, adding it into the ad, doing the tests, dealing with the update. Right? There's a known quantity of actions I need to take, and it's more estimable. Right? When the code is all over the place. When the code is all over the place, an estimate is a guess. Welcome to those whose code is it anyway, where the points are made up and the estimations don't matter. Well, that's the problem. You've got to try and get to that point, and it's a hard point to get to. We all struggle. But you know, again, the reason I'm building this the way I am is because I want to try and force the questions to be asked before the work gets started. So this is not the work. This is the thing that we want, not the work that we're going to do. And that's why I separate the two things, because we are so bad at estimation. Now, in this case, what I've done is I've forgotten to deal with the store, right? So if I go to user store, right? In here, I have a computed, active sorted, all users sorted. And I actually don't do anything complicated. I could use a method here I could apply, I've done it before, I've applied a filter to the store. The problem with that is if you've applied a filter to the store, then everywhere using the store is now filtered. So you have to end up with clearing the filter appropriately. So I probably want to do this. So I probably want an all by name property. So if I go to, I want to do Control P because in Visual Studio Code, at least on the Mac, Command P is the same thing, right? So I don't use Visual Studio Code on Windows. So if we go to Initiative Store with queries, you see we don't have any methods on here yet. We do with computed. And how much is that? I didn't copy any of that really. I forget the number of curly braces and parentheses required to do the magic. It baffles me every single time. I still missed one. So entities here is the collection of things we have, right? And then active sorted users. Let's just do that. So we're going to do active. Well, we don't have the concept. We don't have any other active concept. So we're going to do initiatives. Let's do items by name. We can remove the filter. Just do the sorted. Right. That gives us that. Now, in our component that I have so cleverly closed, shared components. No, wrong shared. This shared. Shared at a different level. I do want to go through here and clean this up. I'm just bad. So what we do is suggestions is filtered users, not stored entities. So this is filtered initiatives, right? Filtered initiatives is dogs are snoring. Filtered initiatives is an initiative array. Why do I set them the first time? Interesting. Oh, because you don't do it until you deal with the filter. The drop down triggers the filter, right? So let query equals event dot event query. Let filtered equal filtered initiative equal that. Or let initiative of this dot store, and then items by name. I'm still of the habit of repending the name of the thing plus the word store, right? If you are building components, if you are using more than one store in a single component, you probably need to ask, is there two components here? Is my kind of go-to right this second. Like in every single scenario I'm building the code right now, if I have to put the name of the thing in front of it, it should be an exception, not the rule. Like, so I should be able to use store here because store can only be one store. I'm dealing with initiatives. Why do I need to do anything else, right? So yeah. If initiative dot name dot to lower case index, and I think ultimately this would be done on the server side, by the way. Query dot to lowercase 3 and then -1 filtered dot push initiative this dot filtered initiatives equals filtered. There we go. Model signal undefined. Whoops. Model signal undefined. Model signal undefined. Oh, it's the selected piece, I think. Let's go here. Don't need to search. Just to select. Why am I getting that then? There you go. Can start on date. So we should be able to do can start on date. Is that just a side effect then, or is that a first time load of anything? Model signal null. But I don't want to put undefined in there. Why? NG model. I think that's going to break actually. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that one. The fact that it didn't reload is that? Yes, that's that. Okay. And okay, we have the initiative. Okay. Woohoo. Wasn't as complicated as I was hoping. I mean, thinking. Um include order by name on initiatives store and provide filtering in auto complete drop down. Okay. So now we validate that we are going to get the right value. Again, if you have questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, please feel free. There's a Discord linked in the cards below. You're more than welcome to join. We do hang out in there sometimes, pretty much most days at some point, I think, these days. We hang out in there, chat about code, problems we might be having with stuff. If you have projects you want to share, more than welcome. Try and support sometimes. Okay, so add edit. So we have this. We have this. Right. We set the value, we add the planning item. So now we need to pass this. So when we're saving a new one, right? Initiative is this dot initiative value. So we actually are handing the initiative to the object. Right. Now on the other side of this, in the store, which sadly the navigation through Angular is not that stunning. So I need to go here and then to right. You can see the add planning item, right? So oh, we get the user, right? Yeah, we pull the user out there. That's why. We add the planning item and then we subscribe to result. Add planning item just passes that object right down. So in add planning item here, now we can do initiative identifier is planning item dot initiative dot ID. Right. So we may have selected it, we may not have selected it. It's kind of my gut graph poop, but I've contributed more code than my your git graph. Your gut graph poop. That sounds like something you want to try. You probably don't want to share the tracking of that with the stream. You've contributed more code than your co-workers. That's rough. Okay, so again, we're not doing the update here. We're only doing the add. Okay, so let's go back here. Create a new planning item. This planning item is initiatives are us. Yeah, us. Be the best planning item you can be. Assigned to Jeffrey. No, assigned to Jeffrey. Assign projects, changes, and planning. And we want to assign this to the sample initiative. Save. Oh, and we have this strange bug with this, right? So it goes down here. When we expand it, it'll jump back up to where it should be. In a Jeffrey Winkle persona. Okay, so that looks like that went up here. So February 19th. Why'd you jump to the top? Okay, so it didn't fail to add. Let's have a look at the database. We're not, we didn't do everything on the server side either. There's a problem there. Initiatives, no, not initiatives, planning items. So this planning item should have an initiative attached to it. There we go. So it did work. It caught the initiative. That's awesome. However, it didn't succeed fully because I didn't put the other parts in there. So the assign initiative, this is where you start to forget how much work is actually in there, right? So can do this, pass initiative with add planning item. So we're capturing it. That's awesome. It's great. But that's not everything you need to do, right? Because again, in this 10 10 here, I just read the word 10 here. In this code base, there are what you make up for in cleanliness. What you get in cleanliness, you make up for in complexity of touch points. So because the system's distributed, I have to touch the client, the endpoint here. I have to change all the code in there to make sure it produces the event, change the event in the library to make sure the event has the data on it. I now need to capture it and record it on this side. So I need to change another database to receive it because I want to see it. If I want to use that information anywhere else, I have to make the same changes. So there is something to be said for the monolith in this case, where I wouldn't have to do this now. If this was a monolith, this piece would be done. However, I've got lots of little bits all over the place, and I've got to keep track of them. So they're going to be the thing is it can be checklisted. I essentially could create a checklist, adding a field. Oh, did you touch this part, this part, this part, this part, this part, this part, this part? It's sizable. We know what the effort is, right? And the only difference is there any side effects or behaviors of changing that value? That can affect other things. In 10 years, I want to see another code base with Jeffrey Winkle in it. That's how I'll know that someone went through the TBD school of code. It's a terrifying school, full of horrors. So, yeah, that it's driving me crazy that that's there. Hold on. Because it's not really there. It's just a side effect. Um, so again, this might seem complicated, and it is complicated in so much as there's a lot of pieces to touch, but it's not difficult complicated. It's just difficult in terms of, oh, I've got to touch this and this and this and this. So on the view side of things, right, we need to attach the initiatives because there's a planning item version over here. That initiative needs to be attached, right? Now this isn't quite as clean because we actually have data integrity problem here, in that that initiative may or may not have made it to the client, to the view side of things before the planning items updated to use the initiative, because the view combines all the information. It doesn't necessarily uh, um, have this component might not have all that information at once. Now, in this case, to assign the initiative, I have to have had the initiative. So the likelihood is the initiative exists before assigning the plan item, but you can't rely upon that. In a distributed system, you have to make sure you have the ability to save the data and not fail. That's how systems get out of whack, and that's why these get scary. So my update planning item here, you'll see this acquire. This is me getting the data, but it's actually a creative that exists. So it will give me a user with that ID, with the ID that it returns based upon this identifier. So if later on that user gets populated, this data is still valid. I don't lose the ability to save this data because some other data in the system, for whatever reason, isn't available. Let's say I'm pulling that list of initiatives from somewhere else, and I haven't trigger the event to update that into this system yet. I shouldn't be punished for that, but I should also make sure that that data's represented in this view. On the actual, on this side of things, I don't care. I've just got an ID. I don't care. I mean, I actually do, because initiatives live inside of planning anyway, but I don't really care. So all I have is the GUID. When I create the planning item, I just have a GUID attached. It could reference the initiative because these happen to be in the same data schema, but it also references a user, and they're not in the same schema. So, there's no benefits in joins, etc. there. And again, the purpose of that is these can be very, very, very fast. They don't need to do lots of joins or lookups or queries, etc. This is just, do you have this data? No, you don't. I'm going to create it. Do you have this data? Yes, you do. I'm going to update it or delete it. So, yeah. That being said, we now need to add initiative into this piece. So this looks a little scarier. It's really not that bad. This update handler is basically saying, okay, well, have I got this item? No, create it or update it if it's changed. If it's not changed, forget about it. This is important. Has changed. Last updated is less than. Yes, yeah. If the last update comes in and it's greater than the last updated, then this is not. Yeah. Date time checks for item. There's going to be a lot of stuff in the future coming up where I'm going to have to do passes of item potency checks. So making sure that I'm actually, because right now, because the system's relatively quiet, I'm not seeing duplication of messages. I'm not seeing repetition of messages. I'm not seeing any of those things. But they are things you really need to concern yourself with as far as testing goes, because you want to make sure that you are not processing a message that you've like if I replay the messages or I reset the queue or whatever, and I start replaying back Kafka messages, my data should not update itself based upon a message it's already processed, because I could, change the state of the system. So I want to make sure, have I, is the updated date of this thing uh, further than the one I have now? Yes, okay, then I'll take its values because it must be trustworthy because it's a later version. So yeah. Okay. Let's start. Now, the right way to do this is to go in here and update the tests. However, I do also not want to bore people with tests, so I'm going to cut them a little bit today. We're going to get the code written, and I can always add the tests in as things break afterwards, right? Not ideal, but again, I want to make sure that this is moving forward, and it's way better for people to see this than it is for people to see a lot of the code on screen that doesn't make sense. but it should be something you are aware of. Okay, so we're going to do something similar, right? We're going to add a script here, 002, add initiative, add planning item, initiative.sql, right? Planning items, initiative ID. Right? This is not the identifier. This is the ID that I'm adding in this case. Because the planning item here gets an initiative ID, right? The initiative is stored separately in the view, right? So that's why this is ID, not identifier. So we do that. We then go to our view domain and add on our planning item object our public int initiative ID, right? So now we've got the ability to capture that. We then need to go to acquire and create an acquire initiative. This is, where are you? There's a base class. Where are you? That's pretty much it. Yep. Acquire base. Initiative is in here. Initiative command initiative. I don't think there's any other required fields on there. So that's perfectly safe, right? So this is you've got to create the bare minimum amount of information to make this a record. Which what this means is, if for whatever reason this data isn't here, and for stuff like this, it's not, because of the way the view's built, it's unlikely you're going to get to this situation because the view should have this data. But let's say for whatever reason the data gets wiped out and we integrate another record. We should still have the data, so it will recreate the data, so it will kind of repair it as well. Redrum, hello, how you doing? Is it C sharp? This is C sharp, yeah. We are adding initiative onto a planning item right this second. Okay, so we have a acquire there. What I'll do is I'll add the unit tests after the stream this evening so that they are in there and captured before I do the commits. Yes, yep, there's a record. You can have a record and a record struct. I don't know. I mean, they kind of swap language features all the time, right? They copy from each other. I mean, not surprising. There's things that people evolve into the languages and like, ooh, that looks good. Let's do that. Minimal APIs look awfully like Express, right? It's okay. So now on the application side, when we do the integration, when we update the planning item, right, we're going to need the initiative passed in as well. So let's do GUID initiative identifier. No worries. More than happy to talk. Patrick, hello, how are you doing? I owe you a reply. You sent me a message the other day. I was falling asleep on the sofa. I saw that you sent me a message and I couldn't reply. And then I forgot. So I owe you a reply. Uh, yeah. I did not ignore you. I just fell asleep. Hope things are well. Okay, so now on the receiver side of things, right, we're going to get that event. So this is a safe bet. We can do event.initiative identifier. You can see how repetitive this is, right? It's not difficult. It's just there's a lot of little touch points to get something into the system, but it's repetitive. When it doesn't work, it feels bad and it stands out like a sore thumb. So you know something's not right. Um, and it's just time. Time is like practicing these things is the only thing, right? You can see now I've got broken unit test, which is fine, right? Oh no, 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 don't do this to me. Right. We're gonna pass in null. That will make these build and pass. These will pass because they're not testing initiative yet. I want them to fail if initiative is necessary. Because then it will show that I've either broken the behavior or I've introduced some differences. Okay, so we have update planning item in the application. This is a command. We now need to capture this thing. All right, so we have the created by and the tenant ID as acquired. We also need to do var. Well, hold on. Let's not get too carried away. Fetch assigned. That's changed. Yeah, actually, I use the same. So because this is nullable, right? So I wrap that in a bit of a different behavior. So what I'm doing here is I'm shortcutting the created by, right? So if my created by and my assigned to are the same person, why bother calling this all over again? Otherwise, go and get another one. So that's all I'm doing there. So in this case, I probably don't need to overdo this. Being that I am updating these things, I'm always going to want to validate this information, right? So yes, it's a lot of calls, a lot of queries initially, but it is in the name of, um, data integrity, and that matters a lot. You always keep your eye on that as you're going through things. So let's get initiative ID equals await sender.send new acquire initiative dot command dot initiative identifier cancellation token, right? That's great, but we need to do command dot initiative identifier is not null, that otherwise null. In this case, dot value, okay, right. Now, by virtue of this being this handling both scenarios in one file, this handles both create and update. I didn't split them out because you don't know whether you're creating something or updating something when you receive the event. If you don't have it, you need to create it. Otherwise, so the pattern again is very repetitive, right? All I'm doing is storing the data here. There's no logic, there's no business behavior here, and there should be no business behavior because all this is view. So I can just store the initiative ID in here. Existing.initiative ID equals command.initiative ID. No, equals trust the AI. The AI is helping you. Now, in here, though, I do need to make sure existing.initiative ID not equal to initiative ID. Yeah, I did it that way. Huh, that's interesting. Oh, because these are the fields that can change. int initiative ID. All right, so that just means passing. So that's starting to smell. That's I probably want to change this up. Adding an extra parameter there is no, that's not what I want to be doing because that's a pattern I don't want to keep repeating. So that I will have to review. And basically, if I go to add a fifth parameter, that code needs refactoring. There's no choice about it. I think there's probably a better way. Just don't want to think about it right a second. So update planning item. Right, we have that, we have the initiative added on the column, or we don't actually have it yet because we wrote the scripts, we didn't run the scripts. So let's go over here to migration. Do this. So on planning items, initiative ID, add the column. There you go. Right. So planning items, columns. Let's refresh. There's initiative ID, nullable. Okay. Now we should be able to run this. And we should be able to keep that. Now, because a planning item is triggered by a change, an integration event is triggered by a change to the planning item or whatever, I should be able to change something on the planning item. And have it trigger the integration event. And the integration event, by virtue of having one piece of code for all the methods, should publish the initiative identifier, and this should actually update the initiative identifier onto that. So I've tested essentially the update case, and now I need to go back and test the add case. So you can see there's not a lot to that, and I'm not showing it on the screen, so there's no validation here. And this is why I'm saying, as a story, this is quite a bit of work, right? It's an hour or two's worth of work. I could get this done in an hour or two. The UI, right? So this will be ignored, right? It won't matter what I change this to. So we're going to just change something else. What? What? Connection refused. Oh, because I started one project. I love the pause when I type that. You've not thought about it. Different issues have different smells, from rotten eggs to burnt toast and sometimes hot garbage. What's the word for being smell blind? There's a name for it, I think. Um, okay, so the system's up and running. We change this to notifications, next UI. Let's save that. Should go through this time. So, oh, there you go. Okay. Okay. So if we go to our Kafka queue, right, we should see planning items appear here. Planning items should get updated eventually. Right. So there's a disconnect. Nothing's instantaneous because what this is doing is this is pushing to a queue. He says as things are looking. Oh, there you go. 1 second ago. So we have our initiative ID set on here now. Now, because of the update, that should go through. So there is a disconnect. Just because you do something doesn't mean it immediately triggers the event. It is something that I'm going to have to consider scale out for as the system gets busier, because obviously you don't want that queue being like one at a time. I'm on a desktop. I wouldn't want to build this on a laptop right this second. I don't know if you can see that. So 68 gig of memory used, and the machines, yeah. Burnt toast is the smell of code that was written during mental lapses with typos, random formatting and code that just doesn't make sense. Oh dear. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's see if we got our identifier. There you go. Initiative 3. And that is initiative 3 is there. Sample initiative. There we go. So we have successfully assigned an initiative to a planning item. Just to verify, let's create a new planning item. Another planning item. This is the best. Oh, this is the assigned to Jeffrey. Changes planning and assigned to the testing initiative. You should be able to go there, and then in no time at all, it should appear in here. Time for a separate server. Yeah, yeah. The actual, for reference, by the way, the actual, this version of the site is running 90% of all those services, including a SQL server and a MongoDB server. This is running on a is it hold on, 7, I think. That's 6. I think it's a Surf 6. 6900 HX, 8 core, 16 thread with 32 gig of memory. Right. So this is all running on that machine. And I don't think it's testing it either. What's it called? Headlamp. So this, you can see how this is running. Kafka, all the event store stuff is working, and it's running on this. So 16 core, 32 gig of memory. I don't know if I can get performance stats on it, but it has a fair number of pods running, considering it's a little Ryzen bot, so it ain't doing bad. These little mini PCs are very useful. Sure, how you guys went on a burnt toast run, but okay. So yeah, it's running fine. Okay, so we should be able to go here. There's our planning item, and there's number 4. You have different PCs asking. So right now I'm streaming and deving on one machine. This is recently upgraded. This was a 5800X. I have a really? I put Radeon 5800X 3D. Ah, interesting. AMD Ryzen 7 5800X 3D is the CPU. Yeah. So this machine is a Ryzen 9 5950X now. It was a 5800X with 128 gig of memory and a RTX 2080 Super. My original stream PC is a 3900X with a limited edition Titan XP, a Star Wars Titan XP. That's still down there. I just don't use it. And my gaming PC is a 7700X. Right now, it's going to be a 9800X 3D when I finally get one. It's a 7700X with a 7900 XTX and 64 gig of memory. My secondary gaming PC is a 9900K with a 7700 XT. Yes, I have separate PCs for separate, yeah, so that I don't make a mess. My gaming does not get messed up by my dev, and my dev doesn't get messed up by my gaming. If I want to wipe a machine, I can wipe a machine and not have to mess around with the others. Um, I think it's just as I can afford it. It's not a every person does this sort of thing, right? It's I can afford to do it. I'm blessed in that respect. No, that's a Raspberry Pi. Um, Tuesday PC. No, not quite. Um, but I do believe in having them separate, and I think it's worked out well. Um, even my development environment, right? So I have a developers.stream thing. That's actually I bring down all the Docker stuff for this process, and I have uh, the idea would be that I have Docker for I use Docker to bring things up and down. So I think most devs that have been devs long enough do similar. You end up tainting your machine with all different environments. Yeah, been able to wipe them out. So Docker has definitely been something that I've enjoyed embracing. If I'm working on my game site, which I've been doing a lot of recently, I can run those things and keep them separate from my game site, as in my game tracking library. So yeah. Also, security is a big issue, especially in environments with packages. Absolutely, yeah. Um, it's something to consider. But I mean, hey Des, for some reason your message is not show. Yeah, your message is all stopped running. Awesome. Um, and I just never format PC after Windows is on. Uh, yeah, I mean, being prepared to do that is, I mean, I've spent a long time doing that, right? I used to install Windows almost daily on Windows 95, 98 days. I'd mess around deliberately just to learn, and I'd end up wiping the machine and starting again. Um, we have been using Aspire. We've been using Aspire with developers.stream, which is the Monday and Friday streams. It's going well so far. We got that up and running yesterday, logging into Twitch, which was good. Um, this message is brought to you by Nixos, and it works on my machine. Now, no reason since Docker, I would lose count any times per day. Oh yeah, I remember installing. Um, wait, I was watching. You were. I remember now. Well, you've been following since February 11th, so you've been following a week. So you were here this time last week, last Tuesday. Um, yeah, I remember installing Red Hat Linux and whatnot off discs off the front of magazines in the 90s. That was always fun when downloads weren't a thing. Or they were a thing, but they take you a heck of a time. Okay, so add planning item to include initiative. We have done this piece, right? um, so now we need to do the planning item update piece. So we're going to do this piece and this piece later today into tomorrow. MSDN CDs. Nice. You got access to a lot of cool stuff. Yep. Floppy disks on the front of magazines. Absolutely. So it seems like we do have, for some reason, quite a few new people in the stream today. What I am working on is a project management and planning application. I'm working on this for about 14 months. It's starting to come together. It is generally working the way I would like. Um, the idea is that instead of having stories and stories be the only thing we work on, that we try and get the product team to plan and prepare as much information as they can before handing it on to developers. The benefit being that the requirements gathering phase is an important step of the software development process, getting people to ask the right questions, push back on incorrect requirements, and really refine what it is we're actually building beforehand can help that process along a lot. The product is primarily focused on the product management team, with the ability to give the developers and the development team the ability to just concentrate on what they want to work on. That's the idea. So a lot of notifications are planned, a lot of data um, uh, uh, data visualization stuff is planned for this product. So we have the planning side of things, and what we've been doing this last couple of days is adding the concept of an initiative. So an initiative has right now just a name and a potential of having a expected start and end date, so you can kind of get an idea of, oh, I want to start it on in June, and I want it to go till December. That's what I expect that range to be. So the planning can happen. Ultimately, this will come down to the system basically giving you estimates based upon whether you think it, based upon what we've planned, whether it'll think you'll hit that or not. But that's a while away. And then on the side of the tasks, um, being able to track the tasks, work on the tasks. This is the development side of things, focusing on that. Making sure that the developers just get the information they need and they can build the tasks out and the things they want to work on there. If you have questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, if you want to dig more into the why or how, you're more than welcome to ask. There is a Discord as well if you'd like to join. Happy to hang out there and chat. We do in voice several times a week. We hang out in the voice there. Um, if I hang out there during my work day, I'm not going to be answering too many questions because I'm working. But sometimes I do just for the chat. But this is the system overall that we're building. Anybody remember now? Shut up. You itching to get timed out again, Mr. Mojo. Separate question, still on topic of PC. Whenever you will have a moment, do you put PC together yourself from parts or get it built from shop? I put them together. I build the PCs. These days, it is not as hard as it once was. I still remember building PCs and having my hands torn apart by sharp metal edges and trying to get big chunky wires to go through gaps that they shouldn't have done. Fitting floppy drives and CD-ROMs and stuff. Those were not fun times to build PCs. These days, it's pretty hard to break things. My work day is about to be in the next 20 minutes. I've got to go get ready for work very shortly. I work from home, so I just switch over to the work PC. But it is something that, yeah, I do. Um, I'm in the US. I'm East Coast US. Uh, my accent might not tell you that. Most people assume I'm in the UK. I am formerly of the UK. So there's a stream dev PC, game PC, work PC. Not clear on checking whether PC. um, yes, yes. I also collect video games and consoles. So there's a lot of electronics I have. I've got electrically charged hot dog fingers. I'd love to piece together my own PC, but I just end up frying things, tangling wires, and not seating the hardware rail. It, timing, finding a space to work in that is clean and clear, making sure you are touching grounded objects. They all fit in one room. I have spare PCs and spare parts as well. Um, It does provide quite the image, doesn't it? Yeah. Um, okay. Okay. So I have got we've got the initiative added in. It's adding onto the planning item over here. So now the next thing to do is to get the UI to show the initiative, but also allow me to update that initiative. That should be a relatively small piece of work considering what I've done today. And then just make sure that the edit tracks, right? So this is um, include it on the update endpoint, include it on the update planning item, and because we've already done the part where we update the planning item in the initiative trigger, we don't need to do any in the trigger. We don't need to do any of that, so that's all handled. We know that it works because we've edited one and seen that the initiative is attached. So we're good there. Getting into the view and then adding the filter. So this table says has filters. I can do this. Right, I can say assign to or status. We're going to do initiative, so we can filter by initiative, which makes this much more useful. And also probably show the initiative attached here somewhere. But we'll see. Keyboard that produces electricity from typing could be implemented, especially on mechanical keyboards as kinetic energy. Would be perfect for gaming since you constantly press buttons. Yeah. The problem with those things is the losses. Yeah, I've had those thoughts about like how you can generate energy before, but it's the losses that you or the energy it takes to store and to transfer, etc. You lose enough that it's not worth the energy to do. So I think we get so bad at my apartment that sometimes I'd shock the USB ports when I go to plug something in, and it would back up to monitors for a few seconds before they resume displaying images again. So I don't have to build much over there, and I'm not building anything here until I get a humidifier. Hey, I'm not saying I'm not willing to be disproven. If you can experiment with that idea, that's worth it. I get the idea. I'm not dismissing it. Every time I've gone to, I've thought about some of those things where I'm like, well, you could just you could generate electricity this way. And it's like, well, yeah, but I apologize for crushing your idea in its early stages. They'll be so fascinated by the electricity generation, they keep typing. Well, don't forget Hanselman's. uh, yeah, try the enterprise cases designed for IT teams. Yeah, nice. What on seats? Or under stairways? Yeah, nice. Yeah, some vibrations. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Anyway, I have to get going. What day are we on? We're on Tuesday. Um, you know, doesn't stream today, but I do want to make sure that One Line gets a shout out because it doesn't often shout himself out. He streams Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. He's like he does all the shout outs for me because I'm so focused on what I'm doing. I'm terrible at actually doing shout outs, and he does save me with that. Um, um, and he streams Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, streams his word project, and very worth checking out. If you like .NET, absolutely. But anyway, we're going to go raid James Warner today. He's looking at Tailwind, which is good. I will be back tomorrow, and I will be doing more of this. We'll get the initiative stuff working, and hopefully you'll see more of that, and we'll move forward. So thank you all. Have a great day. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye all.